We're going to be taking you through the progress of our black comedy feature film.
Who are you, by the way? Nobody knows who we are.
What this is a DIY cinema podcast for DIY filmmakers. The idea is that you don't wait for permission, you just start.
This is our first feature film, something we're going to do together. You're going to get it warts and all.
So we just go into it?
I kind of think we could.
This is DIY Cinema Cult.
Hello, Mark.
Hello, Aaron. How are you doing, mate? How's it going?
I'm all right, yes, I'm all right. Happy that we are at episode 11, I believe.
Episode 11. Welcome, everyone.
Legs 11, as they used to do when I used to go to bingo with my grandparents. Legs 11.
Oh.
I did a really... I'll have to put a better sound in post there, but that's meant to be a pint
like
glass.
tinkling. I've got like a...
Oh yeah, we should be able to do our gin being tinkling.
Yeah, go on.
There you go, Legs 11.
I'm going to pour my gin now. I've got mine in a little shaker.
I've got I'm going slightly upmarket. It is a Gordon's product. Again,
very nice.
This is with a lemon twist to it.
Very fancy, mate.
My other half described it as a kind of limoncello of the gin world.
Ooh. Okay, well, there you go.
Well, it's been interesting kind of a couple of weeks. I've been, obviously we're still in a sort of a vague lockdown, although that's very rapidly becoming kind of aware that it's a sort of evaporating lockdown. There's also been very heavy world events, obviously, with all of the Black Lives Matter stuff that's been going on. So it feels like this year is the year of tumult, change, and
my God, it's been crazy, hasn't it? It's
radical things happening. Yeah, absolutely.
Are your kids asking questions about things that are going on? What's been happening with? How are they kind of dealing with things they hear in the news?
Well, I mean, their news saturation is pretty low. There's no doubt that I mean, they don't have anything, I guess, to compare it to, but there's no doubt that it must just be a constant barrage, because it's been Trump and, ecological disaster, biodiversity loss, and Brexit, and pandemics, and race riots, and all of these things. But there are certainly elements of hope about these big events.
Yeah, I mean, my two older boys, as you know, are mixed race.
Yeah,
we always talk about race, at home, and have lots of discussions about it. The only unfortunate change is, suddenly from always being a very positive conversation, suddenly there's difficult conversations to be had in light of what's happened with the murder of George Floyd. So, and also I feel for them as well, because with this whole pandemic that's been going on, their grandfather died of COVID a couple of weeks ago, and he was their African granddad. He's the link back to Ghana. So I feel for my boys. I think they're kind of they're doing really, really well, but putting all these pieces together with what's going on and the whole kind of race, the topic of race is really blowing up in the news, and all for good reason. I think it must be a real weird time for them.
Yeah, I mean, and and it's funny sort of thinking about how we react as sort of creative people to these ever-changing times. I mean, at the moment, can you imagine trying to write something topical? I mean, you'll be lucky, if you aim to sort of, let's really hit the zeitgeist. I've got this great idea for a film. It's a great idea for a documentary. I'm going to really try to kind of, cover kind of recent events. Well, by the time you get your pen to paper, chances are the world's moved on and changed. And I think the ever onslaught of 24-hour news and social media or what have you kind of gives an amplification of this effect of feeling just like there's just epic and momentous change around every corner, and it's hard. I mean, you can imagine what it's like for a child, but it's hard for an adult to get a sense of like, well, how do we respond to this, and how do we kind of place ourselves in this world? And I mean, on a much sort of more kind of humdrum note, I had my first socially distanced film shoot yesterday, which was
very nice. How did that go?
We tried various ways to kind of keep our distance. Obviously, we had lots of hand gel around, so people were constantly kind of cleaning their hands. The rules are quite vague now because if you are working, then you are in a workplace that cannot be your own home. Then of course you are able to sort of go anywhere, really.
Yeah.
So, and I think from Monday, in fact, there is going to be an even bigger bit of loosening. So non-essential shops, etc., will be open.
Yeah.
So, the making of a podcast, that's certainly a non-essential, but and we have thus far been able to do it from home, but potentially try and meet up next time.
I reckon we could. I was listening to our last episode actually the other day because we've had quite a lot of chat after that last episode about screenwriting guru books on our Facebook group, and I posted a picture today of a couple of books that I found on my bookshelf today when I was having a little look around, and I felt a little bit like in our podcast I didn't properly kind of suggest, or I think maybe I was being a bit of a downer on those kind of books, because ultimately my thought about those kind of books is, yes, they can be a hindrance sometimes, but I would say to anyone who's out there looking at screenwriting, wants to learn more, wants to write their own scripts, I would say, read a lot of them. Sid Fields was another good one that we didn't really go into on the last podcast, but he does a brilliant book on structure, because you just need to learn the structure of a screenplay, the basics, so you know what you're doing when you set out on your first one. But I'd say a book like Sid Fields' screenplay, and then the ones we were talking about, Joseph Campbell, and your one, Into the Woods.
Yeah.
It was your guy, the name of your one?
John York did the fantastic book, Into the Woods.
Because he sounds like similarly along the lines of Joseph Campbell, where it's quite an anthropological look at story and what it means to humans and that kind of business, which is great to have that knowledge as well when you're writing stories or writing screenplays. Your guy, Joseph Campbell, and then a bit of Sid Fields to get a bit of screenplay structure. And then what I'd say is just read loads of screenplays, and what you'll find is when you start to watch films yourself, you'll be able to recognize in the films that you love and the films that you're watching, I can see here these kind of structures at play, but having that bit of knowledge and bit of background reading is really important in order for you to do that. So I felt I wanted to kind of clarify that, because I felt like on the last podcast we just kind of gone, these books are shit, they don't mean, just forget about them, which actually I don't really believe that. I think you should read as much as you can, just don't get obsessed by them.
Frank Crisp and Fanta. Frank Crisp and Fanta. Frank Crisp and Fanta. Free crisps and Fanta.
Well, it's like you said, I think last time, there's no painting by numbers. There's no There's no kind of quick fix to make whatever idea you've got into a hit. And I think that the implication with a lot of those guru books is that follow this specific set of this sequence of this process and you'll get a hit. And I think that's where there's the sort of bullshit element. But people have been putting some interesting other kinds of books up on the Facebook group in the kind of talking amongst the sort of film, screenwriting, directing kind of genre. And there's been a couple of classics. The Walter Murch book, which In the Blink of an Eye, which I think we may even have mentioned it before, but it is a classic, and in understanding the sort of the importance that the edit has in terms of structuring cinema and the story. So I mean, you know, if people haven't read that, then it is for sure a classic. And one of my favourites, which isn't really even specific to cinema, but it's by the god David Lynch, is the Catching the Big Fish, which is almost like sort of seeing his creative process through his, you know, understanding of catching ideas, obviously quite influenced by his practice of transcendental meditation.
He talks a lot about that in the book, doesn't he? Yeah,
he does. Yeah, but it's somehow it's like you get a sense of what the experience of getting an idea is from the god Lynch's perspective.
Yeah.
What other
Werner Herzog's book, a guide for the perplexed, was good. I like that.
Oh, yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Now you bought me an amazing book as well, didn't you? Which book did you got? You got me you got me something great as a birthday present.
I got you that one, or was that the Nick Rogue one?
The Nick Rogue one. Oh, yeah, fantastic.
His is great as well. I mean, those are the books I like. It's very much like the Louis Buñuel one that started our whole chats on this podcast off. They're books that are by filmmakers, but are also the topics in which they touch upon are very broad. They broaden out into life and philosophy and what have you. The David Lynch book is very much like that too.
You are listening to the debut feature film podcast. This is DIY Cinema Cult.
And we've got an interesting guest coming up, which we recorded the interview a few days ago.
We do, Mr. Marc A.C. Brown, who is a filmmaker who I met just in the kind of short film nights locally to me. Met him as a filmmaker back then, and I've kind of he's been on my radar for a while, and recently in the last couple of years he's written, directed and produced a great low budget feature film.
Very impressive.
Very impressive for the budget. I mean, I had no idea it was made. You will find out in the interview how much he roughly ballpark made it for, and it was a lot lower than I thought he'd done it for. But, you know, he's put together a feature film. He's sold it. It's now available on Sky. So in terms of low budget DIY, he was a great person to chat to, and it was a lovely chat, wasn't it?
It's a great interview, and I think people are really going to get a lot from it, particularly as he certainly does kind of tick all of the boxes in terms of a DIY attitude. He comes from sort of, you know, theatre and writing, so he's very kind of good in terms of thinking of ways to write to fit the budget that you have, whatever, and in terms of what you have at your disposal to make something cinematic in a low budget way. So I think everyone's going to really enjoy this interview. All
right. So without further ado, let's hear our interview with Mr. Marc A.C. Brown.
DIY Cinema Cult.
Hello, Marc.
Hey, Marc, how you doing, man?
Nice to meet you, Marc. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm not too shabby.
Oh, you've got your cocktail on the go and everything.
Healthy looking drink. Mate. Well done indeed. Yeah, Marc, you've got to get your one up there as well. I've not got lemon in mine. I've gone for Route 1 airline version of a gin and tonic.
How's the lockdown been for you then, mate? You've been keeping busy?
Oh, well, I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, so
very busy. Yeah. So I was trying to rack my brains, Marc, and figure where we first crossed paths. I kind of came to the conclusion that it might have been at those film nights run by the Moores Bar in Crouch End. Did you used to?
Yeah, that was where I first saw your film, the coffee film, which
yes,
excellent.
Thank you.
It is. It was, I hate short film nights, even though I used to run them. Just, it was actually running them that made me hate them more, because there's always, there's always too many short films, and there's not enough good short films, and so when there's one that I like, I really latch onto it, and yours was one of those.
Oh, cool! Thanks, man.
It made me laugh a lot, and that was it. I think James Rumsey's
nights, yeah. That's right. And you were there for a couple of them, weren't you? Because I'm sure I saw you once or twice down there.
Yeah, I went to lots of them in the end.
Yeah.
Because me and James became very good friends, we still are. working together currently. And so also it was local to me as well, so it was just down the road. And so I would go there for booze, if not films, you know.
So and James is a producer, right? So is he producing some of your work now?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked on a few sort of projects that we are still trying to get off the ground. And then he's been up in York working for Goldfinch Studios. So I wrote a film for them last summer.
Right.
That James was involved with. And then we've got various projects that we are trying to get going as well. So we've doing a lot of stuff together.
And you've kind of built up a bit of a kind of group of collaborators, because you've been sort of making quite a lot of short films before Guardians, which we'll talk a little bit about. Tell us a bit about the sort of gang that you've got together. This sort of, it feels a bit like a sort of band, you know, you've managed to get together.
Yeah, in a way, a lot of people have described it like that. I started in theatre. And theatre is much more kind of like a band atmosphere than film is, because you are there rehearsing together, like in a very intense situation. And so I made a lot of my best friends doing my first plays. So the two leads in Guardians, I met doing my first play and my second play. And we got on very well, and we've worked together consistently since. And I'm the type of person as well that I don't like working with people that I don't like. I find it very difficult to do anything that I don't like doing. Yeah. And so the people that I do work with are people that I do like, and I enjoy immensely working with, and they get me, and I get them. And it's just it's less effort, you know. It's just.
I suppose it helps when you write something in the script and then end up directing it. I'm thinking more film, but it must be the same with theatre as well. If you have that connection with somebody, you know, maybe you're writing for them as well. You kind of just have that. You have that historical knowledge of each other. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like, it was actually, I would say, more so with theatre.
Right.
Because I directed quite a lot of my own theatre, and I had no clue what I was doing. I was learning on the job. And so they were teaching me as I was teaching myself. And they were much more qualified than me. A lot of them, like David and Matt, both like Drama Centre, Guildhall.
Yeah.
People. And so I came to London wanting to do film and fell into theatre, and I had no clue about it whatsoever. I was just going on pure instinct and chemistry with the people that I knew. And so it kind of just developed from there. That's when I figured out the people that knew what I was talking about in the rambling bullshit that I said, I kept those people around. And when they said my words correctly, you know, I mean, when Matt first did my first play, and he wasn't the lead in it, he was just a small part, and but I was kind of drawn to him on stage. I was just like, that guy, he's got it very correct entirely. That fella there, and we just started chatting afterwards, and you know, now he's the godfather of one of my children. So
there you go.
There you go.
That's Matt Prendergast, isn't it? And then also he was playing alongside David Whitney in your film Guardians. Their chemistry is fantastic in that film.
Yeah, I mean, we've done so many things together, you know. So
tell us about the debut feature Guardian. That is your debut feature, isn't it? Is that right?
As a director, yeah. I'd done one before that as a writer.
Tell us about how Guardians came about, and who or what were your inspirations for that film?
It was desperation in a way, or frustration. And just the first film that I just briefly mentioned, that was not the success that we hoped it was going to be. We because David and Matt were both in that film, but David was the lead, but Matt was in a very small part. And we thought it was going to be okay, and then various circumstances that had nothing to do with us, but made it kind of be a very unsatisfying experience. And I really can't go into more detail than that. We were so kind of fired up from it, though, from almost getting there, because it got screened at Cannes, and it got like, you know, and wow. we felt we were so close to just breaking that wall down, you know. So it took like another 4 years to get Guardians going from then, but just that fire that ignited was kind of like, we can't go back. We can't go back to just do what we were doing. One day, I just had this kind of brain fart of an idea. And I had a bit of cash because I just sold my flat, and I moved in with my now fiance and mother of my children. And so I was like, I had not much, but I'd set some aside for filmmaking. It was like $5,000. And I was like, and it was meant to be part of a bigger film. It was meant to be me and several other people putting it into a bigger film, but that didn't happen. So I was just like, I've got $5,000. Can I make a film for $5,000? And I'd made my short film Corinthian, which had done pretty well at festivals. And I was like, that was good. I enjoyed doing that. I directed that with Fred. Yeah. And I was like, if I just do that, but like...
Scale it up a bit.
Scale it up a lot.
So, yeah, because that cost essentially it cost $1,000 to do, and it was a day's shoot. But it was much higher end kind of equipment that we had than we had on Guardian. So I was like, if we just scale down the equipment and we scale up the days, then I can totally do this. I can totally do a feature film. Piece of piss. That was... that's kind of what I did.
The location that you shot in, was that a place that how did you find that place? Oh, you're in it right now?
I'm in it right now, yeah.
Wow,
it
okay.
is my fiance's house that she has owned for quite a while. Yeah, she
talk about make use of what you have already.
There you go.
You're applying DIY cinema principles. I think there very intelligently.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when I came up with the idea, I was like, what have I got? I've got my partner's house, which is, she bought this 5-story Georgian townhouse like 20 years ago when the area was derelict virtually, and until she's been slowly doing it up over time. And
amazing.
It's this mad eclectic place with so I was like, I could probably shoot a film in here and house quite a lot of the crew at the same time.
Yeah.
So I did that. I wrote a story around the venue. And obviously, I knew I wanted, because I was paying for it myself, essentially, I knew that I wanted everyone that I knew in it.
Yeah.
Everyone that I'd worked with. And so I just wrote characters for them. And around the house and all the spooky shit. Because it's 213 years old now. It's a weird house. It's a really spooky.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It looks fantastic in the film.
It looks, I was imagining... that you had found that location somehow.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, wow, that place is just perfect. Look at it. This must have cost an absolute fortune, because I know what it's like trying to get locations. It's the most expensive bit, right? It's the most expensive bit usually of a shoot.
Oh yeah. No, it was a godsend, and everything that I've looked at directorially since, I've gone, do I? It's either it's been me writing the script or I've been looking at other people's. I've been like, do I know the venue? Do I know the thing? Can I? Because I don't feel I can. Because I'm a writer predominantly, so if I'm going to direct, I kind of feel like I need control massively over where I'm shooting, and that stems from just doing it here, where I had complete 100% control over every room, everything, and I knew it sort of inside and out, and. So we didn't have the time to exploit it as much as I would have liked.
So, I mean, what kind of crew did you have then if you were shooting this in such a lo-fi way? And I mean, were you doing it with favors, or were you trying to pay people something at least? Or how did you make that work?
It was mostly favors. Like the DOP, Sue Smith, amazing. She'd shot Corinthian, my short film, and she'd worked with Fred, who produced and edited Guardians, on numerous other short films and other projects. And she'd actually worked on my second ever short film as a runner on my short film Stalker. So I've known Sue for ages, and we knew she was good at what she did, and we knew that she was someone we wanted to get on board for this. And she brought a lot of the people with her. She just kind of cherry-picked all these people that she knew were at that kind of level of, do you want to do a feature film? We're up for doing it. We'll potentially provide accommodation, travel expenses, lots of food, drinks, and it'll be fun. We've always going back to theatre and stuff. The way we've kind of managed to do it for almost no money is we just made it pleasurable.
Yes.
You know, that's why we work with people we like, because
yeah,
it's just so much easier and so much more fun, and people want to do it. People want to have fun, you know, and
it's hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
You know, you might as well go to lengths to make it more fun for everyone involved, especially when you're working on a low budget scenario, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just all about being a really good atmosphere and a really kind of fun crew and fun, you know, team.
Your career in theatre, there's a lot of that transpose into film, a lot of things you learn in terms of your relationship with actors.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with these actors anyway, I mean, we'll see how I deal with random strangers. But yeah, totally. Because I mean, Guardians has got a theatrical aspect to it. You know, it's all in one place, and there's a lot of talking and all that. You know, so we kind of tried to stick with what we knew and what we could be successful at.
Yeah.
I think you know, theatre is amazing. It's not so much. Yeah, it's dealing with actors. It's brilliant for that and stuff, but it's also just looking at the words, looking at what everything means, and making sure every line means something, or making everything's important, you know. And I find that very difficult working for other people in film, where it's a different discipline, you know. It's not. I mean, I like writing funny lines, or I like writing cool lines, or whatever, you know. And you can't do that in film as much, because theatre, words are everything, and in film. It's about plot, and it's about pushing things forward, and it's more mechanical, you know. And I do like that. But when I get let loose, I love that.
Yeah.
When I watched it, I got a bit of a With Nail and I vibe from it, and also the relationship between Matt and David reminded me of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost kind of relationship. What kind of inspirations did you have going in writing and directing the film?
Yeah, I mean, With Nail and I was definitely a thing, you know. I mean, I love space. I mean, that's I think
right.
I'm from that generation, as I reckon you two are. There's a golden age of sitcoms, I think, of, you know, in the late 90s and the early 2000s and there was loads of fantastic, like League of Gentlemen and Space and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of really stuck with me. And and the earlier stuff as well, Blackout and 40 Towers was what I grew up on, but then Space and the League of Gentlemen and Phoenix Nights and that kind of stuff, I loved. And so all that I get compared, well, no, I don't, but rather the Guardians Space gets referenced a lot with Guardians.
Yeah,
and that was not intentional. There was no intention.
I guess it's the big house as well. It's the location.
You can't get away from it. But it's just that's just my sense of humor. It's just it's similar to that kind of that ilk. But With Nail and I was a definite touchstone.
What I thought was interesting was obviously, the film that me and Marc are trying to make has got a similar DIY attitude, as in we're trying to make it predominantly in one location. You know, it's a classic DIY trick or approach to make. But what I was quite impressed by with Guardians was that quite early in the film, you opened it up. So you wandered around the locality. And I felt like I was like, it kind of gave it a feeling of being higher budget than it obviously was just suddenly you're in a cool bit of London and he's telling a fun story and you're creating atmosphere, but you're also spedding it into the location. So talk about those tricks that as a writer or a director, you try to elevate a story beyond its very limited budget range.
Well, yeah, that was very on purpose. And I stole that from Joss Whedon from the Firefly pilot. And one of his opening shots is basically just walking around the spaceship. Because he wanted to give the audience the layout of the spaceship straight off the bat, so there's no need to explain which room this was when you were going into it, blah blah blah. And so it just then you can forget about it, and then it's up to the audience to figure out where everything is in the thing. And it was meant to just give a bit of scale of the house, you know, and to say this is not set, this is this is a character within the play, within the film.
But I did think that was great. Was suddenly you're at the river, and suddenly you're walking through the old East End, and there's Canary Wharf there, and it's free backdrop. It's a free bit of production value because you're just in London, and it looks cool when you're by the river, and it tied into the story really neatly.
I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, because when I was writing the film kind of became about the old East End versus the sort of the new East End, and but the Buxton characters meant to represent sort of the evil developers that are perpetually gentrifying all of the East End and London in general. And it was just, again, you got the Thames is just literally 2 minutes walk that way, and I was like, we have to use it, and we asked. Yeah, we asked to.
You did. You actually got permissions. No. I was.
We said no, and you said fuck it.
Well, they £250 an hour to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, we'll not. Oh, which one? So we went out at 2 o'clock in the morning. There were still joggers. Still joggers. Couldn't believe it. We went out at 2 a.m. and we just did it like we were very fortunate. Again, favours to get this amazing Steadicam guy to come and do it for us, and so we did like I think 3 takes. And we're kind of slightly broken up because nothing was perfect, and nothing to do with the actors. It was to do with joggers. And obviously it's the Thames, which has got like stuff on it.
Yeah.
Did you say you were shooting on 5D? Is that the whole film on 5D?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. It looks great for what people think of now as a dinosaur, although it was amazing back in the day. But
I mean, it was because Aaron, who plays the politician with the turban, he'd made a film. We met at a film festival in Romania, and his film was called Hackney's Finest, and so he sent me it, and I watched it, and I was like, this looks amazing. How has this been? And he's like, oh, it's 5Ds. I was like, no, how? And he's like, well, it's just good DOP, good lenses. And I'm like, all right, brilliant. Well, let's do that then. And so I was blown away by it because it was like, I thought, because we shot on 5Ds before and we didn't make it look as good as it did. And again, with Guardians, there's only so much you can do because we didn't have the amount of lighting we would have liked. We didn't have the time. Sue's the DOP. She was a genius in many ways about this whole situation because she came in the day before we started shooting and she strung like a string of lights right up our house, up the staircase. So it got right up the middle of the house. So she'd have this sort of general light perpetually whenever she wanted it. And she just rigged stuff so we didn't have to do loads of setups and loads of lighting changes.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool. But what I'm quite impressed with is that usually with a low budget film, particularly shot on a DSLR, it sounds shit. But your film does not sound shit. Your film sounds like a film, as in there's clearly shots where they're 2 or 3, 4 or 5 meters away. So I'm interested to know how you did do the sound. Was it all boomed or radio mic'd?
That'd be the legend that is Emanuele Coriani, who I know a lot of people I know have worked with, and he's just fantastic. He's a wonderful Italian chap, and Patrick Singer, who was his little protege.
Yeah.
There was some of it was boom, some of it was just Manuele just stringing stuff in weird places. Some of it was radio mic'd, but we didn't have. We had two radio mics, and as you've seen, there's like scenes with 6, 7, 8 people in it, or some.
Yeah.
So that scene, that was boomed with. And the behind the scenes pictures, which I don't have sadly because we didn't have the space to take them, was just, Manuele just on the ceiling, virtually just it's like that bit in Hereditary. I'm not going to you just the background against the wall, in the corner of the room, up there. That was Manuele with the boom. He literally stood on top of our fridge. And so he's a little fella, so he managed to stick himself in all kinds of places. And then it was just good radio mic and good placement of mics. He was amazing. Generally, I'd recommend him thoroughly. Emanuele.
Amazing. Yeah, we might have to take his number off you at some stage there, Marc.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is definitely worth a look.
It's so beautiful. We're making a movie, man. We'll make it with love. I'm so happy. Johnny, man. We're making a movie. We're making a movie with love. This is amazing. Come together, everybody. Bring out your family and all your children, man. It's gonna be beautiful. And make a movie, man. I love you guys.
And so what's happened with the film now? So, I mean, how many years ago did you actually shoot it, and kind of when did you officially finish, and what's the sort of state of what happened with it once it's done?
It's currently on Sky Store, Amazon, and iTunes at the moment, and we are just waiting for our subtitles for America. We've got American platforms too, but we just need subtitles because they need subtitles apparently. But so we're just getting those done. It's been a really arduous process. That had we had money, it would have been probably a year quicker, I think. But when we were editing Guardians, we sat down for 3 weeks. Boom, we just knocked through it, and it was great. And we got like a really good sort of thing, a reasonable cut of it done. But we hadn't signed it off. There was still lots to tweak and everything. And then sadly, his mum got very ill, and he had to go back to France, which we assumed was going to be short term, like a month or two, and it ended up being a year.
Wow, yeah.
So we shut down for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Then he came back, and we did some more stuff for a little bit. He came back for like a weekend, and we just did some stuff. And so really, yeah, that whole situation delayed the process by close to a year. Then we got a sales agent. The timeline's completely baffling to me now. I can't even remember anything. We got a sales agent 3 cans ago, I think.
That's great.
I love the way you just judge time by how many cans have gone by.
That's my year. My year is can to can.
No, I mean, we'd love to chat to you about sales agents in a bit, but just jumping back to, I mean, you mentioned really early on you had $5,000 in your bank, and that was what kickstarted the film. How did you go about raising other budget? You couldn't have made the whole thing for $5,000. Don't tell me that.
Well, we shot it for 7.
Wow.
That was all in was 7, and it's cost just over the same again for posts and festivals and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. So
that's it. I mean, I'm massively impressed by that, because it certainly doesn't look like a $7,000 in the can film.
No, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And so, we were sort of about to chat a little bit about sales agents, and I mean, what's been your process with that? Because you know, we've sort of talked about it in previous podcasts. But what did you do? You just send people rough cuts, or what you approach people you thought was appropriate?
We couldn't have made a film at sort of a worse time to get a sales agent, because, you know, like 4 years ago, where the market was changing so much, because cinema was completely being taken off the table. Netflix and the whole streaming thing was coming on, but no one knew what to do with that. No one knew how to, because then all the territory situation changed. So, you know, it wasn't just like, oh, we're going to release it at the cinemas here and DVD here and that kind of stuff. And you know, because the streaming situation just changed everything. And so we had a lot of people offering us a lot of different things, a lot of segmented sort of things. We had like American sales agents offering us DVD in America, but nothing really else. And I was like, well, I can't sign with you because you're just offering me that. If I sign with you, I probably can't sign with these people because they're going to possibly want the DVD Even though
Yeah.
DVD was completely dying as well, and it has in fact totally died.
Mm.
And so it was a real sort of weird conversation with a lot of different people about what they could offer us, and trying to get something that would give us the best exposure, and not the best exposure then, but the best exposure like in 18 months time.
Yeah.
And how we couldn't predict what 18 months time was going to be like.
I think that's where I saw it at the Crouch End screening you had
Right,
at the
that's right, yeah.
Picture House. Yeah, it was fantastic. It looked great up on the big
Do
screen.
you know what, the Crouch End Picture House screening was it wasn't our best screening, but it was our best looking screening. It looked beautiful. That
It looked fantastic. Yeah.
because we did our West End premiere thing at the what used to be the Apollo, but it's now the View, I think,
Right.
on Lower Regent Street, and we had one cinema one night and a different cinema the next night in the same multiplex, and they look completely different. We were like, the first one looked okay, then we saw it in the second one, like, oh wow, that's what we thought we'd shot.
Yeah.
And so that's been my experience with every single cinema that I've ever shown this in, whether it's been picture, sound, or whatever. It's been completely different every single time.
Yeah.
That's bizarre, isn't it? You sort of assume that somehow it's all digital, it comes out, and that's just what it's
Yeah,
like.
it's just bigger or smaller. But it's not expanded. The entire cinema's so seemingly unique. So
Yeah, I mean, I know that from doing festivals with films. You'll see it at one festival where they've got it right, and the sound and picture looks amazing, and then you go to another one and it's just awful, and your film looks terrible, and there's just no care given to the sound or picture.
Film festivals I've been to where it's like you're showing it on what? You're showing. I mean, I know nothing about technology, but I know when I can see a shit projector. Like, oh, that's not gonna look good. And is the sound coming out of the projector as well? Because that's gonna make an issue.
The most amazing experience I had was when We Are What You Drink went to the London Film Festival. You get a day where there was a night of like 8 films, and we all got invited to the NFT one where it was going to be screening, and you get to sit in the NFT one on your own with the projectionist and the sound guy, and they run through your film. And they go, is this loud enough for the start? And you're like, oh, bring it down a little bit, and then go up after the music. And it's amazing, and the picture just looks incredible. And that was one of my first festivals. I thought all festivals are going to be like this, and then it turned out the rest of them pretty much 60% of them just screened off DVD or something,
And so once you'd kind of got your sales agent, and what difference did they make? As in, how do they get it into people's eyeballs? As in, from that point onwards.
Well, that is the big question, isn't it? Because that is the mystery. They don't let you sit in with them and do it. Yeah. They asked for a lot of stuff. Obviously they redid our publicity. They redid our posters. And they asked, they sort of recut the trailer. They did lots of all that kind of stuff. They didn't really rebrand it that much, which was good because everyone was like, you can't call it Guardians because of Guardians of the Galaxy. And I was like, well, I like it. And so there was talk about calling it Guardians of the East End, and I was like, no.
I did think your publicity on that film was great. I love the posters and everything. It just kind of, it really, I mean, it just had a real kind of big budget feel to it, the actual posters that you have going out.
Well, I mean, like, we had like we had so many different posters, but like we had the first version, which is the red and black one. That was done by DGL Creative, who'd done a poster for us for a film that never happened. And they were so cool and good, and they just give you loads, and they're very reasonably priced. So they just gave us, a couple of nice options, and then we just did a photo shoot where there was a couple of pictures. I was like, these are cool.
Yeah,
we should make a poster out of them. And Fred's a little tech genius, so he just did a couple of posters out of those. So those are what we ran with for most of the pre-sales agent stuff.
I mean, the ones I've got in my mind are the ones of Matt and David on the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, that was just that was Fred's then girlfriend. Came to the house and did did a photo shoot, and I was like, just shoot them on the weird stairs, shoot them, Yeah, shoot them out front of the house, and she did a cracking job, and we just turned them into new posters.
Yeah, those are my favourite. Those are great.
And so what do you feel like the kind of end game was with Guardians, as in once you've got it out there? I mean, how recent is it that it's got on the streaming platforms and that kind of thing after you've done your cinema?
It came onto Sky Store and on stream platforms on December. So that was the end game. I mean, our end game was to have a film that we could show people that we could do a film.
Yeah, I guess the fact that it's been a success in that regard, that you've sold to Sky, just means that your next project, you just evidently, like you say, you've got a bit of track record now. You can turn in a film, it can sell.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just having that thing on IMDb saying completed, and with and it's amazing how it's almost that simple.
I see you've kind of gone back to theatre again with Punching Horses. So tell us about that. Has that been on stall now because of the whole
massively?
COVID?
If hopefully it'll happen.
Right.
We'll see. It was because when I was writing that film this summer, I previously mentioned, I was up in York, kind of isolated. Not because of the virus, it's just before that. But they wanted me there to write it, so I could collaborate with everyone in York. And so I was kind of holed up in various places where nobody was. It's not like London where I can just. It's not York City. Yeah. It was the outskirts of York, in the middle of the countryside.
Right.
So it was like completely cut off. So I do I can only usually write about 2 hours a day. For whatever film I'm doing, anything I'm doing, and I get my stuff done. And after that, sometimes I just want to cleanse my palate. And I just had this idea, and then I started writing. And I was like, I think this is a play. And I hadn't done a play in like 10 years, and I just liked writing. I just enjoyed it. It was just one of those palate cleansers of just like I was enjoying just letting these people talk. It's like I said before, it's let me off the leash and being able to completely gobshite a script to death, and
amazing. And so the film you were writing in York, is that the one called Limpet?
No, what film? Limpet's my own thing.
Okay.
On IMDb, the one I'm writing in York is called Shooting Paul.
Oh, okay, right.
I mean, that's
you're a busy man, Mark. You're a busy man.
Yeah, I don't like to be. I don't like to be.
What kind of doors has it opened? I mean, maybe the virus has kind of closed a few doors for a lot of filmmakers and writers and what have you. But what kind of doors have been opened by Guardians getting out there?
Well, getting that. I mean, when I had kids, I stopped saying yes to projects that weren't paying me.
Mm.
And that was difficult to begin with because, but as soon as Guardians came along, we had it and we had awards and we had distribution, then all of a sudden people were like, oh, so how much do you want? Like not big money by any means, but it was like they accepted the fact that they were going to have to pay me.
Yeah.
So that was a big difference. That's now I work for money.
I know on your website, Mark, that your Limpet script, you've got quite a good bunch of like soundbite reviews. It's been in some script competitions. Is that something you tend to do with your screenplays? You kind of, to get your feelers out, you put them into competitions and that sort of thing?
I just love festivals.
Right.
Especially when you've got kids and you're not allowed out of the house as much as you need to be. If you can find a reason to go out, let's work.
Yeah.
Then, so I love festivals, and so when with short films, you can enter it into like thousands of festivals, and and you can go to them and it's fun. With feature films, you can't. You can enter like maybe as a fifth of the amount of festivals that you'd already enter as a short film because of the costs and because the likelihood of being selected is lower. So I missed festivals, and I was writing. I'm still writing lots of scripts, and so the ones that were mine that wasn't getting paid for, or whatever, I would like, I'll stick it in some festivals.
Because it's never something I've done myself with a actual script. Is it, so it's something you'd recommend doing with a feature script?
Yeah, I think it's becoming more of a thing really as well. I've noticed that the script thing. I mean, it's a dangerous game as well because you gotta go to the right festivals because as I've discovered, which I'm not going to discuss on here, but there's a danger of people stealing stuff.
Yeah, I just thought what would be quite nice is to sort of a top tip for a DIY filmmaker, DIY writer, director. You know, give us a sort of, top threes are quite useful, but anything off the top of your head that you think is a kind of killer tip or two for a DIY filmmaker or DIY writer, director like yourself?
Well, I'm going to skip the usuals, which would be, kind of just calling all your favors, all that kind of stuff, because everyone knows that. It's just, I mean, for me, it was location. Find a location that you can get that is either free or cheap or whatever. They are out there. I mean, the church we got in Guardians, we only shot for one night, and they wanted £500 to shoot there. And I really want to shoot there because they have this mad pyramid gravestone thing. And we said, we can't afford £500. That's like literally a tenth of our budget. And they're being lovely Christians that they were. They went, all right, £100. They were like, all right, yeah, we'll do that. So like 5 hours for £100. And
amazing.
So it's just, and the pub was just our local pub. And so it's really, I think, if you can write to a location, that's amazing because then you can, once you've got the parameters, you can just play.
Yeah, location is key because it's a bit like what Hadi was saying in an earlier, Hadi Hajeg, the director we were talking to in an earlier podcast. It's finding things you can have access to that then also lift the production value of your entire film because you suddenly have this amazing looking thing. Yeah.
Make it unique. Make something that no one's ever seen before. And it might not be mind blowing, but people will go, oh. As long as you can get out of people, then you've done well. And having this house, everyone's like, oh, that house was weird, or it was beautiful, or it was how did you get that? It's always a question. And so it's served its purpose.
I love the way that you, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I'm hoping it was. I love the way that right at the start of Guardians, you basically make a point about the fact that the sound is going to be shit in this room because you've got the motorway just outside or you've got a big A road. So you can get out a jail card. Sorry, everyone, we're in this room. It sounds just going to be awful. And that's part of the story.
100%. It was massively on purpose because I lived in the house and I tried to make the sound work for the film. And so, I was like, right, we're going to get this out of the way. There's going to be a car noise in the background perpetually.
Yeah. Writing this into the script now is going to be cheaper than ADR for a week. So.
You hear the sirens now about the winter.
Yeah. It was just bang on cue, actually, just there. Yeah. But we put that in post. We've got all these clever things that we do here. I've got this keyboard here. I'm putting in all the sounds. Yeah.
Oh, Mark, mate. So do you want to let people know where they can kind of find you, like a Twitter or Instagram or your website or?
Yeah, sure. Twitter is at Mark AC Brown. Instagram is at Mark AC B Film, and my website is markacbrown.com.
Brilliant.
Guardians obviously is guardiansfilm.co.uk, and it's available on Sky, Amazon, and iTunes for a reasonable price. I think it's just come down in price. Actually, it was like $9.99 to buy, like anyone buys them. But I think it's $7.99 to buy and $3.99 to rent. I think.
Amazing. I would recommend anyone to give it a look. It's a brilliant achievement, and after hearing all the stories you told us today, I'm sure people would be fascinated to see the finished results, mate.
I hope so. There's some nudity in it as well. Male.
You should have left out the male bit.
I know, but
we can ADR that later just to bump up the ratings. Great to talk to you, Mark.
Cheers, Mark.
Fantastic.
Absolute pleasure.
You are listening to DIY Cinema Cult.
So there we go. That was our chat with Marc. Thank you, Marc, for kind of coming on the show.
Really interesting, I think. Some brilliant insights into the sort of process of a real DIY cinema cult member who has managed to get something that we're trying to do off the ground, get a feature film made with your mates by hook or by crook, and so many interesting insights into that process. I mean,
bit of an inspiration, isn't it, really?
For sure. I mean, particularly, I think confirming our feeling of that location seems to be such a key aspect, being able to
100%.
Get a location that gives you so much and that you have the run of and that you can potentially, use for multiple different sorts of environments and different kind of aspects of the film. Fantastic information from him, Marc, and a lovely fellow to boot.
Yeah. I was going to say as well, Aaron, we should probably point out that because they might be peppered through this episode, we've been back in contact with our old mate Oz, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
Oz Smith.
Indeed.
And the three of us have been monkeying around with little bits of music and stuff for more idents for DIY Cinema Cult.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait a minute. There's the hole.
Yeah, well, listeners, you may have heard that we've had a bit of an audio refresh, as they used to call it back in our 90s advertising days, an audio rebrand. So we just decided to sort of expand the palette of audio beyond the
mnemonics. Do you remember when they were called mnemonics? Something was called mnemonics.
Mnemonics,
it was like a sound sting of some kind.
Yeah, a word that I could never spell because I seem to remember there's a bunch of like N's and M's next to each other.
It was just one of those waffly words that they used to say a lot in the late 90s.
Which meant that they could put masses of zeros on the end of a budget. I had no idea what they were talking about. But so we've been hopefully been hearing lots of interesting new audio elements to enforce our friendly cult.
This brings a bit of weirdness to the episodes. I like that's what I like about them.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if in some way, because we're going to sort of keep expanding that, and obviously both of us sort of play around with music. And up till now, you've been listening to a tune of mine that Marc's been tinkering with. That's been our audio signature, and we've now got more in the way of that. I'm wondering if there's the potential for, because the DIY filmmaker is somebody who is likely to be able to get the sing the theme tune, write the theme tune, be the lead actor, be the camera person, be the boom op. Is there the potential for narrative pieces that could be relayed through the podcast? And I mean,
interesting.
Maybe like 1 minute audio stories. I like the idea of
that.
So like, short. So obviously we want the film festival to be something that people can watch on the Facebook, etc. But maybe there's something we could pepper in throughout a
little serial, a little series. I like that. I like that.
So, short, cliffhangery or surreal audio stories in a kind of podcast fashion. So maybe we'll throw that out as something that we could suggest people might be interested in doing. So what about, going outside of the medium of film in some fashion or another to the medium of audio or podcasts and creating a kind of a hooky or a surreal or an interesting audio journey to take our listeners. Start small, start simple, but so maybe that's something we can start to explore as the podcast.
Maybe we could take quite serious inspirations from Blue Jam. Do you remember Blue Jam?
Oh yes, Blue Jam. Used to love Blue Jam. And there's something that me and my friend, music partner Chris made, which maybe we could put as a sort of...
Oh, your thing on addiction.
Ah.
Yes.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, maybe we could... How long is that?
I think it's about 3-4 minutes.
Let's play that on the next episode. that can feed everyone's imagination and get everyone inspired.
Yeah.
Let's play your addiction track on the next
Could
episode.
it be that the sponsor for the podcast is this anti-addiction guru?
Yeah, it's just that.
You are listening to the debut feature film podcast. This is DIY Cinema Cult.
So, mate, what about 1 Minute Film Festival, the DIY Cinema Cult 1 Minute Festival? How are we doing on that?
Well, it's looking pretty good as far as I can tell. I mean, there's a great film called The Little Lebowski, which has been sort of tickling my fancy, a sort of a done in lockdown film tribute to a classic movie, a sort of scene from a classic movie, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, we've got. If you check out the Facebook page, you'll see a bunch of really great films. There's one called Breathe. There's one called Her Last Ballet. Yep. There's
Sanshi is kind of interesting.
Sanshi is amazing. Yeah, I love the soundtrack on that. So we've got we've got a bunch of great films. My boys made a short film that's on there, 1 minute film.
Yeah, but there's some great stuff. So I think we got to kind of keep the ball rolling. I think where are we? We've got about another 3 weeks, I think, before they say, okay, lockdown's over. We want to get before the end of June. Let's make sure that we've got a really good selection to choose our top 3 from, and we will try and get members of those top 3 on the podcast for a bit of a chat about how they made their film and their DIY-ness.
All right. So is there any other business, or are we all good?
I can't think of any more business, particularly. Any more business. All right. Well, nice one, Mark.
Nice one, Aaron.
Let's do it.
All right, mate.
All right, mate.
I'll speak to you soon. See you, listeners.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Follow us on Twitter at DIY Cinema Cult, or on Instagram we are DIY_cinema_cult. Seek out the DIY Cinema Cult group on Facebook, or why not email us at DIYCinemaCult@gmail.com.